Hi everyone, it's Dennis here, and today I'll be reviewing the Canon G7X Mark II. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional photographer, I'm just an average guy who loves to play around cameras, and this is basically just my own personal review after using the Canon G7X for a couple of months now. Now, this review will be biased towards videography, because I'm not really a stills person, so yeah. Canon G7X Mark II is my second travel point and shoot camera that I own. I had the Sony WX500. Sony WX500 was my first travel compact camera, or point and shoot, whatever you call it, camera that I've owned. So I've used the Sony WX500 extensively. When I tried the Canon G7X Mark II at the camera shop, I fell in love with a lot of features in it. And since then, sold the Sony WX500 and have moved on to the Canon G7X Mark II. Pretty happy with everything. Obviously, I'm gonna outline a few pros and cons about this camera. For that, I just want to talk about some of the key specs of this camera. It has a 20.1 megapixel 1-inch image sensor. It has a focal length equivalent to about 24 to 100 millimeters, which is good for everyday shooting. The maximum aperture for this camera can go up to 1.8 or f1.8, which is really good for if you're shooting in low light conditions. And it doesn't have a viewfinder, but it has an articulating LCD screen that goes up and down, if you can see that, which is good. Unfortunately, it doesn't record in 4K. It does record 1080p up to 60 frames per second. It also has a time-lapse mode and also Wi-Fi capability, so you can transfer some of your photos into your phone directly. It also has the capability to save your image in RAW format. If you rely on RAW format to edit your photos, then this would be good for you. It's small, compact, it's not that heavy, it's lightweight, and overall, it's a great design. It has dials everywhere, so if you're familiar with Canon camera, this shouldn't be new to you. It has a monkey grip in here on the side, and you can change. You can hear the clicking there if you're zooming. If you're zooming, see that? If you're zooming, pretty much everything here is touchscreen, and it has a very good autofocus system. So what's so good about this camera? Well, this camera is very, very popular among YouTubers, not only because of its articulating screen and do video and you can pretty much take selfie or vlog using this camera, which is why this is popular among YouTubers. But also, it's for me personally, the autofocus system and the ability to shoot in low light conditions is really, really good for this camera. And I'll show you some of the clips that I've used where there's pretty much no light, but the image quality or the video quality, there's less noise in there in comparison to my previous camera, which is the Sony WX500. I'll show you the difference. As you can see, it's a little bit noisier here, and especially here when I'm videoing myself, there's not much colors, hardly any light in there. Same goes here inside the car. Now, if you compare it to the Canon G7X Mark II, you can see there's still some sharpness in there, even though low light, especially in this shot with the dragon dance and yeah, out in the park. So what's not so good about this camera? The manual focus it's time consuming because you're pretty much clicking on each LCD part and then changing the settings there. It's not like in a DSLR or mirrorless camera where you can just change the dials, shutter, aperture and ISO. This one you have to manually click one by one. If you have a lot of time, then yes, it will work, but most of the time for me, I'm just shooting in auto because I just want to get it over. I just want to get that shot straight away before I miss out. So the manual focus can be a bit time consuming. The audio quality is probably not the best. You're gonna hear a lot, it's gonna pick up a lot of noise. I guess that's a given for any travel compact camera because it's such a small camera, they can only fit in so much. As long as you stay in a quiet environment, quiet setting, then it will pick up a lot of your voice or quality sound. If you're a noisy or a windy place, it will pick up everything, which I can demonstrate here. airport in Singapore is pretty big. There's quite a lot of things to do. There's an entertainment deck, there's movies, there's games. And lastly, the battery life of this camera is not that good. It's a little bit better than the G7X. You know, a full charge can last you maybe half a day or almost one full day. So I definitely recommend getting extra batteries if you are getting this camera. I really enjoyed using this camera. I've used it a lot of times when I'm just on the run and I didn't bring my big camera. This is probably my go-to small camera for now. Just because it's convenient, it's light, you know, it has everything down here. It has a wide angle lens, you know, and you can pretty much use this for street photography or just, you know, everyday use. Yeah, I believe the direct competitor or almost direct competitor of this camera is the Sony WX500, which I believe is on Mark V now, and it has a way better autofocus system than this one, and it can shoot in 4K. But you'll be paying a lot more for that one. Now, if you are tight on a budget, I suggest you give the Sony WX500 a go. It has pretty much similar characteristics of this camera, albeit it's a little bit, the autofocus may not be as smooth, and plus the low light, if you're shooting a lot in low light, and it's gonna create a lot of noise in there. Or alternatively, you can pick up the Canon G7X, the original model. It won't have the time-lapse mode in there, but it's essentially most of the functions will be a little bit the same, but the battery life is a little bit worse than this new model. So far, I've really enjoyed using this camera, and this is probably my go-to travel camera for now. Really enjoyed using this. I've captured a lot of nice sceneries, nice videos. I'll give you a little example here. Overall, it's a great compact camera. You can pick this up, you know, a little bit cheap now. I think I've seen one this goes for about $600 to $700. When I first got this, I paid $750 for brand new in Australia, but I believe you can pick it up a little bit cheaper now for about $650 to $700 now. I do suggest you try this camera in your local camera shops, have a play around with it. Overall, yeah, it's a great camera to have if you're looking for a great autofocus system. If you are shooting a lot of low light settings, then this camera might be good for you. But I do suggest you try it out in any of the camera shops. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all for my next video.